Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Favorite Live Album by Year. We are in 1976, arguably the most fully loaded year for classic live albums in any year. There have been a couple so far this month that have been kind of tough. This one was kind of next to impossible. I mean, I had a list of candidates that was in excess of a dozen. One by one, I started to weed some out. I was like, okay, I love this, but it's not quite upper echelon. Then I got down to about a half a dozen. I'm like, all right, I can probably shave this one off. Or not. So ultimately, I looked at this stack, this list, and I'm like, all right, I got to go with my favorite is the one that I probably listen to the most, probably the one that's meant the most to me in my life, especially, back then, right? For sure. So I was able to pick a winner. The runner-up was quite difficult, and I decided to go against what I normally do here, and you're going to get a handful of them for my honorable mention today because I couldn't pick one over the other. I honestly just couldn't leave any of these out, and I'm like, rather than just agonize over this and pick something that I might change my mind the next day or whatever, I said I'm just going to give you my winner and a handful of runner-ups. That's it. This is the only day you're going to see this on. I think most of you watching will agree that 1976 was a fucking fantastic year for live albums. Classic ones beyond belief. So that's what I'm going to do today. Today only. 1976 only we're going to do this. Every other day we're going to go back to the winner and the runner-up. That's what we're going to get. So today, after lots of debate, and I saw a lot of people in the comments yesterday throwing out things that they thought I would go with and all that kind of stuff. And I may surprise some of you. This live album was a single LP set back in the day. It's one of those classic should have been a doubles. It was the album that got me into this guy, and it's the album that made this guy for me one of my favorite guitar players of all time. I played this album to death for years. I still play it a lot. I wish that it was a double album. As it stands, it's still one of the greatest single LP live sets, single disc live sets by one of my favorite guitar players of all time. It was released March of 1976 on the Chrysalis label, recorded February 3rd, 1975 in Stockholm Concert Hall in Sweden. Robin Trower live, that one right there. And that is what the back cover of the album looked like. This showed a guitar player who was peaking, all right, hot on the heels of the, of course, Bridge of Sighs album, also on the For Earth Below album, which was, soon to come, and, just unbelievable material, or the For Earth Below album, which was out already, sorry, and man, the recording is so good. Jimmy Dewar on the bass sounds so amazing. He's one of the best singers of all time. One of the greatest unknown vocalists ever. And just the track list, even though, it would have been nice to have more, Two Rolling Stone starts off with. The definitive versions of all of these songs are right here, folks. Two Rolling Stone. Daydream. Just lush and Rock Me Baby. Blistering blues rock, right? Cover of the B.B. King classic. Lady Love. Dun, 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 dun. Good rock tune. I Can't Wait Much Longer. Brooding, emotional, killer guitar solos. Alethea. Funky, right? And then a little bit of Sympathy. Just amazing. Again, more fantastic guitar solos. I mean, there's just some of my favorite solos from Robin ever are on this live album, and I love these lively, bright, fast-paced versions of these classic songs. Would it have been even better to have heard the title track to Bridge of Sighs on here? Sure. Day of the Eagle. Sure. Foolin' Me. I mean, there's so many songs that could have been on here that he played live on the tour. But it's still great as is. It's still great as is. And I still listen to it a lot. I still get chills when I listen to it. So Robin Trower live is my pick for today. Did I surprise some of you? Probably did, right? Because I know some of the ones I'm going to mention now, I think probably were the ones you were picking. A very, very close runner-up for me. Released October of 1976 and recorded in Graz, Austria, Saarbrücken, Germany, and Paris, France. Of course, we're talking about the final tour with Ritchie Blackmore and Deep Purple, the Stormbringer tour. Deep Purple Made in Europe, comprised of performances from the shows that I mentioned. The real shame of it is that Blackmore waited till he was already announced he was leaving the band to turn in some of the finest performances that he had with the Mark III version of the band. Sure, there's some great live documents from the Burn tour. I'd argue though that some of the best stuff, if you haven't heard the Graz or the Paris shows in their entireties, unbelievable. And you got some of that here. There definitely was some studio trickery going on here, taking songs from various gigs and kind of piecing halves of things together and all that kind of stuff. But whatever, this is still a great live album. Coverdale, Hughes, Blackmore, Pace, Lord. Yeah, doesn't get much better than that. And once again, another live album that absolutely should have been a double. Absolutely should have been a double. But you know what? When you really think about it, what's great about this live album is you get all the killer Mark III stuff and none of their takes on the Mark II stuff, which, quite frankly, I never liked the Mark III era of the band playing the Mark II stuff because Coverdale and Hughes, Hughes to an extent, but Coverdale just never did Gillan well. So, Coverdale singing, Smoke on the Water, Highway Star, and that sort of stuff. It just doesn't work for me. So for me, I would have rather they ditched the Mark II stuff. You couldn't, obviously, right? You got to play the space truck and you got to do those songs. But I would have rather heard a couple extra songs from Stormbringer and Burn played live. But as it is, you got the definitive version of Burn, in my opinion. I absolutely love Burn from this. Mistreated is killer. Lady Double Dealer, a big epic You Fool No One with lots of solos. One of my favorite Blackmore unaccompanied guitar solos of all time. And then, of course, a killer heavy Stormbringer. Right? Might have been cool to hear a couple, Might Just Take Your Life or, Sail Away or, whatever. Gypsy. Would have been cool to hear a couple of those on there. But like I said, you can get the Paris show, you can get the Graz show, and that's the good. So you can kind of hear what the entire set was like. So that is one of my runner-ups. Another one, and this was a big rambling 3-disc set released December 1976, recorded earlier in the summer on their big Wings Over America tour, Capitol Records. Wings Over America. I mean, this was kind of the soundtrack to my early years. So before I was listening to Purple and Sabbath and Zeppelin and Scorpions and Rainbow and Priest and Maiden, I was a Kiss fan and I was a Wings fan. Those were my two big bands at the time. You had Kiss and then I had Paul McCartney and Wings, the Eagles, ELO, that sort of thing. Kansas to an extent, Boston certainly. I have played this to death over and over and over again. You got all the great Wings songs on here up to the point, the classics from Venus and Mars and Band on the Run, Red Rose Speedway, Speed of Sound. All those great classics are on here. And again, for some of them, the definitive versions of those songs are on here. I love the live versions. You got a host of Beatles classics, couple cool covers. The band is on fire. Danny Lane, Jimmy McCullough, Paul and Linda. Just great stuff. And drawing a blank on the drummer's name, Joe English, and all the horn players. Right, just amazing. Great quality. I remember opening up the LP. This is not going to do it justice, obviously, but because you don't got all the guys in one single here. But man, that big gatefold LP, just opening up and seeing the wonderful depiction of it, just amazing. I played and still listen to Wings Over America all the time. Couldn't leave it off here. Also, could not leave off this classic from my favorite Canadian band of all time, All the World's a Stage by Rush. September 29, 1976, recorded a couple days in June at Massey Hall in Toronto. Rush, heavy, progressive. You know, this is the bridge to the next turn in their career, because that's what Rush has always done. They release these live albums that signal the closing one door, opening another. This first Rush album I ever heard. Doesn't get much better than that, right? Bastille Day, Anthem, Fly By Night, In the Mood, Something for Nothing, Lakeside Park, 2112, By Tour, In the End, Working Man, Finding My Way, What You're Doing. Amazing. Amazing. How about Lynyrd Skynyrd, One More from the Road? Amazing Southern Rock live album, one of the best ones ever. So many classics on here. Definitive versions of I Ain't the One, Simple Man, Needle in the Spoon, Give Me Back My Bullets. So many great songs. Epic Freebird. Led Zeppelin, Song Remains the Same. I know, recorded earlier in the decade, but released officially in 1976. Not the best Led Zeppelin live album ever released, okay? However, it's still pretty damn amazing for what it is, right? Got to give that credit. And the last one I'm going to mention today, there are more. And this is one that I got into much later, but I now look back at it as one of the classic prog rock live albums of the 70s. It's amazing. If you've never listened to Renaissance at all, I urge you just to go out and get Live at Carnegie Hall. This is absolutely incredible. Symphonic rock at its very best. No electric guitar. You got piano, other keyboards, amazing Rickenbacker bass, acoustic guitar, drums, and the lovely and wonderful Annie Haslam on vocals. This is just amazing. Big epic versions of so many great songs. Songs of Scheherazade, Ashes Are Burning, Mother Russia, Running Hard, Carpet of the Sun, Can You Understand, Ocean Gypsy, Prologue. You got on the remaster, you got Kiev as well. Just absolutely incredible. So there you have it, 1976. We got a little expanded episode today because there's just so much. I could not leave any of these off. And there's more. There's more as we hear Nuka. So anyway, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we are on YouTube all the damn time. See you tonight on the Monsters Den, and tomorrow morning once again with favorite live album by year. I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.